right. So we will be going over your quiz today. And number 1, let me focus that. There we go. All right, number 1. So it says find the value of x. If you see right here, this is the midpoint of that side, and that's the midpoint of that side. So this is a mid-segment. And remember, your mid-segment is half the side of your base. So if that's 19, 19 divided by 2 would be your answer. We would also accept 9.5. Okay, there's no units, so you don't need a label. Next one says list the angles for each triangle BDC from smallest to largest. So if I have triangle BDC, and it doesn't matter where you put all those, but if BC is 5, CD is 8, and BD is 11, I want smallest to largest, so least to greatest, and it wants angles. So my smallest angle, my smallest side is BC, so it would be angle D. My middle size angle, the side is DC, so it would be angle B. And then my largest side is BD, so it would be angle C. Remember, it's opposite of them. Okay. For the next one, during lunch, Juan was making triangles with some straws. If he has 3-inch straws and 4-inch straws, which straw can he not use to form a triangle? So not. Now remember, if he has 3 and 4-inch straws, then if the other straw is bigger, and if you're looking at all of these answer choices, most of them are, then remember these two added together gives me 7. 7 has to be greater than whatever number that the biggest side is. So, is 7 greater than 5? Yes, it would work. 7 greater than 4? Yes, that would work. Is 7 greater than 6? Yes, that would work. But 7 is not greater than 7. So C is your answer because that will not work. Because 7 is equal to 7. Remember, the rule is your largest side must be, or your two smaller sides must be greater than your largest side. Or your largest side must be less than the sum of your two smaller sides. So then moving on from that, the lengths of two sides of a triangle are 4 centimeters and 7 centimeters. What are the possible lengths of the third side? Now, if 7 is the biggest, the largest side, then my two smaller sides would have to be greater than 7. So they would have to be greater than 3. And the only one that has 3 is that one. So that should have been an easy, keep going. But if it's not my biggest, then these add up to 11. So it has to be, 11 has to be greater than my largest side. So again, 3 and 11, it's B. Little trick for this one, if you get to this on your test, remember if you subtract them, what's 7 minus 4? 3. If you add them, what's 4 plus 7? 11. Alright. Ooh, this one. Almost most missed just because of one little bitty detail. Find the value of x for each of the following problems. Well, if we see this, we know this is 41. We also know the vertical angle is 41 degrees. And so then all of these add up to what? 180. Now this one's a little bit different because there's just an x squared, there's no x. So I can move all of that simplifies. And I could subtract 131. When I do that, I get 49. And to get x by itself, what do we have to do? Square root both sides. And so what does x equal? 7 is only half right. Don't forget, -7 also works. And if I plug -7 in, what's -7 squared? 49. It works. So you needed to put both answers. If you did not put both answers, that's why you got points off. Also, you could have done this easier. You could have just calculated that and realized x squared equaled 49. You didn't need to do all this. So if you did that as well, you're still going to get 7 and negative 7. All right, number 6. In the figure, which segment is the longest? So I want to list these from greatest to least because I want the longest. Please remember you have to break these up into 2 different triangles. So for my first triangle, let me get a calculator just so I can do this quicker. All right, so for my first triangle, I have this right here. And to add up to 180, that's going to be 59 degrees. So for my red triangle, I want the longest. So I'm going to do the greatest angle is D. So across from that, the greatest side would be AB. Angle A across from that is DB. And then the smallest angle is B, and so across from that would be AD. So I just listed for that red triangle right here all of my sides from greatest to least. Also, if I'm going too fast or you're not understanding, please pause it if anybody wants to help explain. Alright, if I got 59, 61, then that's 60 degrees. And now I'm going to do this green triangle. So for the green triangle, I'm doing the same thing. I want to go longest to smallest, greatest to least. So my greatest angle is C, so across from that is DB. Then the next greatest is B, and so across from that is DC. And then last but not least, I have the smallest is D, so across from that is BC. Now what does this ask me for? It asks me for the longest side. Well, if you notice, they both share DB. Hey, look, these are both DB. So that's the same thing. So what's longer than DB? The only thing longer than DB is AB. Okay, for this one, I'm going to focus. Alright, for this one right here, I want to find X. So again, we have some mid-segments. So if this is the mid-segment of this triangle, remember your mid-segment is half of your base, or your base is double your mid-segment. So I can double that, and I'm going to get 2x plus 4. Now this is the middle of this whole triangle. Sorry. And so if that's your mid-segment, then down here, I can double it, would be 4x plus 8. This middle one right here is not a mid-segment. It's not the middle of anything, so we would put nothing right there. Now, I know these two are going to add up or equal the same thing, so I'm going to set them equal to each other. Oh my goodness. To get x by itself, now we just solve. There's your answer. So remember that middle one is not a mid-segment. It doesn't follow those rules. For number 8, it says find the perimeter of ABCD if BD is a perpendicular bisector of AC. So if it's a perpendicular bisector, it is perpendicular and it does bisect both sides. And remember, if it's a perpendicular bisector that goes through the vertex, then that means it's equidistant, so this is also 15. Oh, let me put different because they are not the same. Those two are the same, but they're not the same. Now, I have a right triangle. So how am I going to find DC? I have to do Pythagorean theorem. That's across from the 90. So remember, c squared equals a squared plus b squared, or a squared plus b squared equals c squared, same thing. So 15 squared equals 12 squared plus b squared. That's 144, so I'm going to subtract 144 from both sides. And I get b squared equals 81. So what is b going to equal? So this time, like unlike over here when we square rooted it, we had to plug x in and it would still give us a positive number. This time, my b is going to equal 9, not negative 9, because if I plug that in right there, it won't work. So my b is equal to 9. So some of y'all told me the answer was 9. Be careful. What's my question asking for? The perimeter. So if this is 9, what's this? 9. So if I add up all the sides, 15 plus 15 is 30, plus 18 is 48. And there are no units, so that's all you had to write. Next, if BD is an angle bisector of angles, it's an angle bisector, so I know that those two. Remember, it only bisects the angle, not the side, the angle. These are the same. And if angle C is 50 degrees and angle A is 40 degrees, how would you find 3? Well, remember, this is a triangle. So what does it need to add up to? 180. So what is this whole angle right here? Well, if that's 40 and that's 50, this has to be 90. And then if it's 90, what's angle 1? It's bisecting, so these are going to be 45 and 45. And now I want to know what angle 3 is. So, sorry. If I know this is 45 and that's 40, oh my goodness, guys, oh, no, I did that right. Okay, then I need to add them together. 40 plus 45 is 85. Subtract from 180 and I get 95. If you put 95, that's wrong because it's an angle degrees. For this one, if BD is the median, so median means it cuts, it's the midpoint, it cuts it in half. Okay, my side now. Find AC. Well, if DC is 15, AD is 15, so what is AC? I don't know why any of us missed that one. Okay, and last one on the front, if BD is the altitude. Remember, altitude means 90 degrees. Find ABD. So if you know that that's 112, don't you agree these are a linear pair? So we can do 180 minus 112, and we get 68 right here. Well, I want to know what is ABD, which is that angle, and they make a triangle. So 90 plus 68, 180 minus 158 is, 22 degrees. Don't forget your degree sign. Alright, turning over. We have number 12. It says find the perimeter if a fun, the perimeter of fun is 90. So adding them all together is 90. So I'm going to put F, U, and N. It doesn't matter if you put yours out of order. So Fn is 3x plus 7. UF is 5x plus 9. And UN is 7x minus 1. So if the perimeter is 90, I'm going to add them all together, which will give me 15x. 9 plus 7 is 16 minus 1 plus 15 equals 90. because I added them all together. Okay. Now I just need to solve for x. So 15x equals 75. Divide by 15. I think x equals 5. Let me double check my math. Okay. So x equals 5. Now to find Fn, I just plug in. So let me do a different color. Fn is 3 times 5 is 15, plus 7 is 22. No units? Oh, units are centimeters. Don't forget your units. Okay. UF is 5 times 5 is 25, plus 9 is 36 centimeters. And UN is 7 times 5 is 35, minus 1 is 34 centimeters. Ooh, what did I do wrong? I did something on here. Because, how do I know I did something wrong? Because if I add them all together, 22 plus 36 plus 34 gives me 92, not 90. So what did I do? Oh, I put 36. That should be 34. I don't know what I did there. Okay, so how can we classify this by sides? There are 3 different sides. It can either be scalene, isosceles, or equilateral. And so what is it? Well, these two are the same. So, and it's an isosceles triangle. That was quick. Alright, for the next one, triangle ABC. So I'm going to label it A, B, and C. If B is 90 degrees, I know it doesn't look like it, but we're going to put a 90 degree there. A is x squared, and C is 9x. How can I find the angles? So what do all of them add up to? They add up to 180. There's an x squared and an x, so I need to make it equal 0. So I'm going to get x squared plus 9x, minus 90 equals 0. Now remember, what's the only way to get x squared is x times x. How can I multiply negative 90 to add up to positive 9?
Negative 90?
Mm-hmm.
Positive 15 or something? Okay.
What is 90 divided by 5? No. Let me see. Let me look. 15 negative 6. Thank you. It's like my brain is not working. So positive 15, negative 6. So then x would be negative 15, positive 6. Okay, now if you plug in x right there, that negative, you'll get a negative angle, which is impossible, so I can cross that one out, and x is just 6. So then what is C? What's 9 times 6? Degrees. And then angle A, what's 6 squared? 36 degrees. So I want to classify this by both angles and side. By angles, it has a right 90 degrees, so it is a right. If one is 90, one is 54, and one is 36, then it is scalene. So it's a right scalene triangle. Alright, we're almost done, I swear. So, triangle DEF. So if I have D, I have E, and I have F. DF is 4x minus 5. DE is 7x minus 17. And EF is 5x minus 9. Oh, and it tells you it's equilateral. So what do I know? They're all the same. How would I find x and find the perimeter? So a lot of people got this wrong. One, y'all added it up and put equals 180. They're the sides. 2, you put 2 equal signs in there, and you can't really tell me 7. I mean, I know that they all equal each other because it's equilateral, but you can't solve for x with 2 equal signs. So it does not matter which ones you choose. You know they're all the same. Choose 2 of them and set them equal to each other. You don't have to use all 3 of these. Does that make sense? Yes? No? Maybe so? Okay, so I chose those 2. You can choose these 2. It doesn't matter. To find x, you just need to set 2 of them equal to each other. So now I'm going to solve. And I get 2x equals 8. Okay, so from there, what does x equal? 4. So then I can plug it in to get my perimeter. So 7 times 4 is 28. 28 minus 17 gives me 11. So what should all of them be then? 11, 11. So then what's my perimeter? 33. And then classify it by angles. Now remember we talked about this. Because it's equilateral, I know that all of them are 60. I know it's acute, but even better than acute is equiangular. Alright, last side, then I'm done. If triangle PIN has a ratio of angles 2, 5, and 8, so PIN, it doesn't matter which one, 2x, 5x, 8x. If you add them all together, you get 15x equals 180. Divide by 15 and you get x equals 12. So what are your triangles? What are your triangles? What are your angles? 24, don't forget your degrees, 60 degrees, and 96 degrees. Those oh my god, I did that whole thing without y'all. Sorry. Alright, and I want you to classify by angles. So looking at these angles, what type of triangle is it? There's one above 90, so it's an obtuse triangle. A lot of misses on 16. It says name the exterior angles whose remote interior angles are 2 and 3. 2 and 3, the exterior angles that those don't touch is angle 6. That's all I wanted. Nothing too fancy. For this one, number 17, angle 5 is here. Angle 3 is here, and I'm giving you angle 1. So I have remote interior angles to angle 1. So I'm going to add those together, 5 and 3. I'm going to get 9x plus 11 equals 12x minus 10. And then you're just solving for x. So x equals 7. And last but not least, if you're not sure about these, altitudes was orthocenter. Oh, I guess that goes right here. Center of mass, that's what your project is on. By the way, due Wednesday, that is the centroid. It literally says the word in center. And perpendicular bisectors were circumcenter. Alright, study for your test. Remember, tomorrow we don't have any school, election day, so get an extra day to study. See ya.